Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you today. Thanks so much for taking the time. Huge congrats on the show. For people who don't know anything about it, can you give us a brief intro? What can they expect when they come to watch We Were Liars?
Well, boy, oh boy, how do we tell this? Again, it's a family just living a life that seems ideal, and certainly is created to be ideal. And of course, there's nothing that's ideal, and there are things that happen in this world that really shatter this place and this world for this family.
Lies, beaches, sex,
Yeah.
puppies.
Puppies. There were puppies.
There you go. There's puppies.
Yeah.
It does feel like there's maybe, I don't know if trend is the right word, but there's definitely something in the air at the moment that we are often mining these lives of these, the 1% or the very sort of rich and privileged, and perhaps sort of looking behind the curtain to realize things aren't always as perfect as they might seem from the outside. Was that part of the allure of coming on board with the show? What did you like about the story and the script?
Well, sir, just for one, what you're talking about, the world that this takes place in is absolutely beautiful. We shot it up in Canada, on the coast, Nova Scotia coast, and that right there was appealing. It's supposed to be Martha's Vineyard, and I spent a lot of time in Martha's Vineyard in that world. So it's a world that I'm familiar with. The level that these people are living at, I don't have much experience with. So it's fun to get to go there. It's really, it's a fun place to go and play.
Yeah, and Ed isn't as 1%y as everyone else and diabolical, but it's very fun to sit back and watch actors say things that you aren't supposed to say and behave. It's the relishing in the messiness of it all is very fun to witness. And I think people will enjoy seeing that. I think we're getting, like you said, the peek behind the curtain, where it's the relatability of, just because you've got all that money and power doesn't mean you're not winning in other aspects. You're just as messy and poorly put together as the rest of us.
And of course, based on a book, E. Lockhart's novel. Had you gone back to read it? Were you already aware of it? Did you rely on the script? I mean, what's your approach when there's that other layer of material, I guess, that you can dip into? Or do you prefer to rely on what's there in the script?
Well, I didn't have enough time. I was a very late addition. I didn't have time to read the book. I'm sure someone with more intelligence could have done it in the time I couldn't. So I went straight for the script because that was what was going to be shot in the next 48 hours. But fortunately, my partner read the book while I was reading the scripts and informed me on what I needed to know, like cliff notes. That's what you guys call it, right? Yeah, the cliff notes. And Ed, which worked in my favor, features far more heavily in the series than he does in the book. So I had a little bit more grace to play outside the lines, and so I kind of had to more sort of rely on the scripts.
Yeah, when I was asked to do it, I did not know about the book, and when I was told about the project, I heard that what a success this book was. So right there, you got to pay attention. There were 5 scripts written, so I got to read the scripts, read the book, and there's actually another book, and I read that book as well. He let his partner read the book.
I outsourced it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a real actor. See.
Right. So I did a lot of reading before I actually talked to all the women who produced this and put it together, and we had a great conversation. So I had a lot to go on when we first started talking about it.
And coming to your specific characters, I mean, Harris is kind of, I guess, the patriarch, and very powerful, but also problematic at the same time. Did you have anyone in mind that might be a reference point when you were playing this character? How did you want to lean into playing him? Not make him too much of a sort of a villain either. Someone that you could still be sort of drawn into the character with.
Yeah, well, one of the things is, he's ahead of this huge media world. We don't really get to see that. What we really see is the family. And that is really the focus of the story is the family. So I really thought of him as a family man, and I do know people in this, in this world, and there was someone in particular who's really kind of in a similar place as Harris. And I spent some time with him just talking about, what it's like to be that person where everybody in the world wants something from you. Everybody wants to cozy up to you. And what do you do to protect yourself? And that is a big part of Harris's thing, is not only protecting himself but protecting his family. So that's what I was interested in.
And for you, Rahul, playing Ed, as you said, he's not part of this world. He's kind of an outsider. So how did you want to sort of figure out for yourself that tension that there might be between his love for Carrie, but also being kind of resistant to the values that he's sort of, seeing around him? How did you kind of think of him as a character?
It's he's not the choices he makes and the patience he has is not something I embody. I've always been a gobby. I've always expressed myself. I don't allow myself to be pushed around. I've always been like that. So reading Ed, I had to find the reason behind why does he endure this? Why doesn't he push back? And it is something pure. It is for his love for Carrie, and it is for trying to keep his family together. And love, that is an easy thing to relate to. And in terms of, it was very easy working with an actor like David to act intimidated and feel very small in the presence of a very powerful person. And so it was just on me to react to David Harris and I don't want to say intimidation, but it was intimidating. It was just incredibly intimidating working with David. So I just let that spill out into Harris and Ed.
And as you were saying at the beginning as well, I mean, what an experience probably shooting on this location, but also with this incredible cast, the younger cast. What were some of the highlights along the way? And particularly seeing Emily's absolutely phenomenal performance.
One of the highlights was Shubham playing Gat, who had never acted.
Yeah.
And to be taking the lead in a limited series like this, in a role like that, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of all of them, really, for the work they did. They'd all done some work other than him. So that, for me, that was one of the highlights, is just to get to be with him and experience that with him, and whatever little part he played in it, it was great.
Yeah, Shub's really, it really kind of stood out from that. It was inspiring. Shub booked, self-taped for this, decided he wanted to be an actor, and has just self-taped and done it. And he got this role at 21, 22.
And out of hundreds and hundreds of other actors who were competing for it.
It's the male lead, on a massive Amazon series. I was 28 when I got my first show, and I felt, and I had about 8-9 years of experience before I booked my first series regular job, and I was terrified. So seeing this kid fly over from Dubai into this world and just crush it, it was inspiring. I'm so proud of him too, and I'm so excited for the doors that this is going to open for him.
Yeah.
And in terms of the takeaways, I mean, I love the fact that it really is one of these shows that seems to cut across genres. It's coming of age, a love story, this kind of thriller elements. And then at the heart of it, it does raise questions perhaps about, do you just follow the path that you inherit from your family? Is not standing up though, when you see something's wrong, does that count as complicity? So I think underneath it all, maybe there are some questions raised. What do you think the takeaways might be?
It'd be great if people could take away stuff like that, standing up for, standing up to authority, standing up to your family when you have to do that. Cadence's journey is, it's a tough one. And ultimately she has to be herself and do what's right for herself. And And it'd be great if, young people can be watching this, and if they can take something away from it like that, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think generational trauma is like it's something that obviously this show centers around, and I think it's important to encourage people to break the trends, break the habits. Yes, you can be a product of your environment, but that's not set in stone. But also at the same time, I think there's also a little bit of, especially like I can only speak to the Ed and Gat relationship. I think I know that I'm very judgmental of the adults, the generation before me in my family. And I think through Ed and Gat, you get to kind of see that sometimes patience, there may be like not being so quick to judge the situation, what they had to put up with, right? Because when you're young and you got that passion, you are, there's more at play. There's a wider world. Sometimes people, the choice to sometimes not push back, and the situations our parents were in, for instance, there's probably a lot more empathy and compassion for them and the boxes that they're stuck in. So rather than just, I think there's a commonality, and there can be an understanding and a compassion for our older generation for what they've had to endure.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on the show. Can't wait for everyone else to see We Were Liars. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.